Now, to another subject, we've seen the images from the Solomon Islands this week showing Chinese police training their counterparts in Honiara. There is nothing good about this partnership, is there?
The Solomon Islands is a sovereign country and they are entitled to make their own decisions in their own national interest, and we're very pleased to be a partner of theirs and often to be the partner of choice. Australian troops, Australian Federal Police are very regular presences in the Solomon Islands and have been for more than 20 years to help restore law and order whenever we're called upon to do so. It's up to them to choose whether or not they want to also rely on other partners. We would hope that when they do so, they take into account what kind of conditions are imposed by those other partners, whether there is a quid pro quo, whether they have expectations of them that will ultimately end up compromising their sovereignty, their territorial integrity and their democracy. I wouldn't want to see that happen to the Solomon Islands or any of our other friends and family in the Pacific.
So could it be in times of protest or even rioting that our federal police could be working with the Chinese police to arm and train Solomon Island police?
We've got a really great track record of working with the Solomon Islands police, including on training initiatives and also responding to crises as they arise from time to time, including the disturbances in recent months. We're very proud of that. We're very confident that we can continue to do that. And if other countries want to make those offers as well, that's up to the Solomon Island governments to consider. But we're very confident we can meet those needs if we need to.
So what do we need to do in response as a country, given the fact that the Solomon Islands have become so close to Beijing? Is there something that we need to do better than we're already doing?
I think what the offer from the Chinese government to the Solomon Islands shows is the real prescience and foresight, I should say, of the Pacific Step Up, and the fact that our government since 2013 has refocused our international aid program to the Pacific. Because what we want to do, given that these are our neighbours and they are our friends, is provide them with choices. We don't want them to feel like they are compelled to accept the offers of others when they might not want to, and we want them to be able to accept the open-hearted, decent offers of Australia and not feel they have to go begging to others. So we've done a lot in the Pacific, and there's a lot more that we will do, that we need to do. One of the things I'm concerned about is that by the very nature of the pandemic, it hasn't been easy for Australians to visit the Pacific. Many of these economies are very tourism dependent, and so not just our political and military exchanges have been limited, but our tourist exchanges have been limited. Our economic engagement has been limited, and we need to really step that up and help support them and get them out on the other side, because a confident, healthy, prosperous Pacific is in Australia's national interest.
But we've heard from the ADF today that they need to recalibrate the way they would defend our coastline given the proximity to Chinese police and their role in the Solomons and the battleships that will be placed there. We've got to recalibrate what we do and how we do it.
Chris, there's no question this is a very serious matter. Anyone who is familiar with history, particularly those who've studied the war in the Pacific in World War II, will understand the strategic importance of the Pacific, not just to Australia, but also to New Zealand, to the United States, and many of our other friends, partners and allies in the region. It is tremendously significant. And it is of concern that the Chinese government appears to be trying to expand its influence and potentially its military presence in the region. Because if it is successful in doing so, make no mistake, it will not be in our national interests. It'll be to the detriment of our national interests. So rest assured, this has been very closely monitored in Canberra. We're doing everything we can in our power while respecting the sovereignty and independence of the Solomon Islands to make decisions in their own national interest.
Senator James Paterson, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Chris.